Mass Effect walkthrough here on Noveria, part 4 or something like that. So we finally got done dealing with all that corporate jargon, and now we actually get to play the game. So we're going to get into the Mako yet again and head on outside into Noveria itself. So unlike pretty much any side planet, as I've mentioned before, all the story planets when we're in the Mako are very linear, and this one's no different. Artemis Tau was pretty linear up until we reached Liara, and then it was still linear. And this one is also just going to be a straight path with a couple of bends on a cliffside and some enemies in between. We're trying to reach, I think, the Exogini building at the end of this pathway, and there's not really a whole lot else to be concerned about up until then. You just gotta stay back, take your time, kill enemies, and don't really try to rush too far forward. If you get a ton of rockets on you at once, it's gonna hurt, but if you just kind of stay back and you take a rocket every now and then, it's not really going to matter. So take your time. You can shoot enemies from across the map here, and be sure to explore a little bit, try to get some of these crates for some extra items.
All targets down.
nearing the end of the outdoor side of Noveria, I want to mention briefly a small glitch that will be showing up. Not just that. That was another funny glitch. That is just the Mako, though. I don't even consider that a glitch. That's just fun. Like, we did a 360 and then I landed on all 6 wheels. We're good to go. No, this is a graphical glitch that shows up in Mass Effect 1 on AMD processors. So if you're playing on the Legendary Edition, which I expect would be the most likely today, I don't think this glitch exists, but we're going to see it briefly, and then I'm going to sort of fix it, and you're going to notice some really ugly looks for a little while, actually throughout the rest of Noveria. So there's only 2 planets, Noveria, and then I forgot what the last one of the last planets where this glitch happens. So as I walk into the door, I turn black. I get pixelated and blocky, and all my teammates and the enemies do also. And the only way for me to fix it was actually to open up the command console, which I had to go into some of the system files for the game. That's not the correct terminology, but you know what I mean. And I had to enable the command console in those text files and then use a command inside the game that turns off a bunch of lighting. And I guess the main gist of why this glitch was happening was because the AMD processors, when this game came out, used some kind of lighting effects technology, something like that, that is no longer supported since the bulldozer architecture of processors, which I think came out in like 2012 or 2013, so a pretty decently long amount of time ago. Now keep in mind this game came out in 2007, so that was still probably about 5 years where the processors were compatible, but the new AMD processors are not compatible with Mass Effect 1's lighting system in certain areas, including Noveria and whatever the heck one of the last planets is called. So that just means that I have to turn off those lights, and we're going to get this very kind of ugly, washed out look, and this is going to stay for the rest of Noveria. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no mod or anything that fixes this. I don't think it really can be fixed unless unless BioWare themselves wanted to update Mass Effect 1, which I believe they've done in the Legendary Edition. I mean, I'd be stunned if this glitch existed in the Legendary Edition on AMD processors today. So this is only a thing that comes up if you play on modern AMD processors on the original Mass Effect game, which is exactly what I'm doing, because I have like a 3700X, I think, something like that. So I did get around the glitch, and that's pretty much all there is to say about it. I just wanted to explain why the graphics suddenly look bad. It is not permanent, and I will be turning off the bad lighting, or at least I'll be turning on the good lighting again once we're done with Noveria. So for now, we finally get to do some ground combat. I guess we did a little bit back in corporate land, and that is the command console. So you can see, I guess I decided to show it here, but you can really see the difference if I have it lit or unlit. Yeah. I have to have that lighting off. Whatever the lighting is, it's got to be off for me to be able to see anything, because otherwise the enemies are also pixelated and blocky, and I guess I could technically kill them that way, but it looks bad, so we're fine. Now, the inner part of this Exogini facility on Noveria is kind of like a maze, and there's quite a few side quests, and this area really makes me miss some of the older BioWare games, because a lot of the older ones, like Knights of the Old Republic or Baldur's Gate or whatever, Dragon Age, you know, you'd kind of come into an area, and the area itself, the new area itself, would always be sprawling with new things to do and new people to talk to and just new story to learn. And they really dumped that in a lot of the newer games, where it just kind of seems like you have to rush through. Now, there's a balance, right? There's a balance between giving you a lot to do in an area and giving you too much to do. Because, as I've said a few times, Noveria is kind of a game killer for a lot of people. It's very long. It's pretty tedious. This area is a little bit maze-like. It's kind of easy to get turned around and confused because there's a lot going on in Noveria. Like, we run into the Geth finally here, which has been hinted it'll happen the entire time because the matriarch smuggled them in on the shipping pods or something like that. So we finally get to run into the Geth, but we're also going to run into a new enemy that ends up playing a pretty major part in the rest of the series. And I think we get to see the enemy here.
What was that?
Animals, wind. This place is in bad shape.
right, the Rachni. They are probably the hardest enemy in Mass Effect 1 besides the Krogan Battle Masters. You know what? No, I take that back. The Juggernauts, the Geth Juggernauts are pretty hard too. But these ones are really annoying. They will send these little kind of Mirelurk spawn things at you that will poison you, and you're going to want to keep your health high because the Rachni also like to charge you, but they like to spit poison at you. They'll spit poison at your teammates, and they are just kind of strong in general. So if you have fire of some kind, I think you can do that as a class of some sort in Mass Effect 1, then that's pretty good against them. I think I might be thinking of a different game though. Otherwise, I'm going to be using my shotgun ability and just trying to grenade them and then hit them from far away. And I have plutonium rounds on, or whatever rounds that are making, that poison people with radiation damage. I think those are the ones I'm using against the Rachni, and that helps out quite a lot because you can hit them once and then run away. And that plutonium, that radiation, will slowly tick their health down, which does make a pretty big difference when you're trying to deal damage to tougher enemies. So I'm not technically playing, actually I'm not at all playing on the hardest difficulty in the game right now, so they're not terribly difficult, but even on the hardest difficulty, when I did forever ago play this game on that setting, they're still really not too bad if you do Noveria second or third. If you try to do Noveria first, you'll usually have a pretty hard time here, at least in my experience. But if you go and do Artemis Tau or Pharos first, those planets are generally a little bit easier and gives you chances to level up and find better gear. So we're just going to explore a little bit more of the interior, kill some more Rachni, and of course deal with more elevators.